What if I told you that boundaries can make a man fall in love with you? What if I also told you that without those boundaries, you can become the most unattractive version of yourself to men? If that sounds like something you absolutely don't want to be seen as, then join me on today's show where we'll be discussing why men fall in love with you when you have boundaries. That way, you never make the mistake again of thinking being a people pleaser actually makes you more likable. Categorization. So we're gonna draw two ovals. On one side, we're gonna have a wife. And on the other side, we're not gonna be disrespectful. We're just gonna say a non-wife. When I'm explaining this to you, what I wanna kind of crystallize for you, I want you to see how they categorize different women and what comes of those different categorizations. Self-respect, boundaries. And on the other side, when we have non-wife, says yes to everything, down for anything. Here's the thing about wives and non-wives that can become confusing. They can both be beautiful. They can both get attention, right, from men. So you might start thinking to yourself, well, Thompson, why does this matter and how does this relate to why men fall in love with boundaries? Because I see them going for the non-wives that you're describing all the time. Depending on where a guy is in his life, where he is mentally and emotionally, he might be looking for one of these things or the other. And if he's in a place in his life where he's not looking for this, then that means subsequently he's looking for this. And even you will meet some guys who are under the impression that they're ready for this, but when you actually get to know them and you actually get to spend some time with them in a relationship with them, you'll realize eventually that they're looking for this. But when you understand that the men who are actually ready to build a long-term serious relationship are looking for these things and these qualities, then you understand that the right type of man that you're also looking for will inherently be the most attracted to this version of woman. And the men who are not what you're looking for will be attracted to this version of woman. Here's the amazing part about that is that you never have to worry about being attractive to this demographic here. Number two, respect and desire. There is kind of like a linear aspect to respect and desire for men. Meaning, as his respect for you grows as a woman, his desire for you subsequently grows, right? Because he can only truly desire a woman who he respects enough to see as an individual who knows what she wants. And when I subsequently respect you and I recognize those values and character traits within you, then I say to myself, oh, that's the type of woman that I want in my life. Are you seeing how those kind of correlate? And remember, I told you, when a man becomes emotionally and spiritually ready to start building a family and thinking about life more than just, oh, who's the next girl that I can smash, he immediately gets into a state where he's thinking the type of women I'm looking for and that I'm going to be the most attracted to are going to be the women that I respect. And this is the kind of the mistake here. I'm going to draw a second graph for you guys because this is an easy mistake to make and think that men are thinking more like this. If I just set boundaries, don't expect to sleep with me on the first night, I'm so much different, I'm not like these other girls you be talking to. But what ends up happening is as you start to like the guy and you think he's attractive, you think he's amazing, you like the vibe that's going on between you guys, you start to say to yourself, well, I mean, I was saying I'm not gonna sleep with you on the first night, but I really like you, and I like your vibe. I like the way you act. I like the way you talk. I like the way you walk, and I think I'm gonna let you do it. Just because I'm feeling the vibes between us. Then you end up with a graph like this, where you start off with a lot of respect because you're talking and speaking a big game. And then as time goes on, your respect dwindles down and down and down and down. And as your respect dwindles down, so does his desire for you. And this is ironically something that you can even notice in men that you're dating, right? That actually are not necessarily bad men. Because as you allow them to escape a lot of the boundaries that you initially wanted to set, you start to notice instead of him appreciating you more for giving him the opportunity to circumvent and go around all of those different boundaries that you're supposed to have, Instead of him appreciating you more, he actually disrespects you more. Why does he disrespect you more? Because obviously his respect for you has gone down and his desire for you has gone down while he was able to recognize that your so-called boundaries aren't actually boundaries. Number 3. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an analogy here so we can kind of understand why opportunity is important. Let's imagine you are sitting at home, you're bored. So you decide to get a Netflix subscription. For the sake of argument, this Netflix subscription you went and got because you're super bored is $25 a month. On month number 1, that was supposed to be $25 charged to your account. Instead of them charging you $25, let's say for the sake of example, in this scenario, you actually don't get charged the 25. I guess maybe there was a little bit of a glitch. Maybe they'll take it out later. And then the next month comes, and once again, you're supposed to get charged $25 for your subscription, your 4K subscription. You're watching all the shows now. You're like on Bridgerton season like 5 now. But once again, they don't charge you $25 for your Netflix 4K subscription. Very strange. Now, on month number 3, they have still not figured out that they have not been charging you for your Netflix subscription. What are you gonna do on month number 3 if they don't charge you for your Netflix subscription? Are you going to figure out how to contact Netflix, or are you just gonna do nothing? None of us, most of us I should say, are not gonna pick up the phone and say, Netflix, I just think you have a super amazing business model and I'm loving this season of Bridgerton. I just wanted to let you know though, I'm getting this season for free. If people can't figure out how to have a fair trade here and it works in your favor, why would you speak up when it's working in your favor? So let's imagine the men here, and instead of it being Netflix, it's your body, right? So every time he gets to sleep with you, you charge him nothing. And when you charge him nothing, we're not talking about monetary value, but I mean emotional, physical, and spiritual investment, okay? It costs him essentially nothing to sleep with you over and over and over again. And when they don't have to do a lot for you in order to get you, they take that opportunity to continue extracting from you without ever giving anything to you. And it's so important to understand that men will always take opportunity when it presents itself. Men are in the business of taking opportunities to do less and receive more. The only time they choose to give you more is when they see it's required of them in order to get more access to you. Point number 4. So when we walk into this Louis Vuitton store, let's imagine 2 different scenarios for when you walk into this Louis Vuitton store, all right? In scenario number 1, let's just imagine when you walk into the Louis Vuitton store, one of the purses that you see on the rack there cost $5,000. Okay, that's it's pretty steep, okay? But it's a Louis Vuitton purse. You're thinking to yourself, you know what? It's the big LV, not the small one. And, I want to make sure I'm stunting on these other O's. And yeah, that's the one. I expect that to be that price because all these Louis Vuitton purses are top quality, right? You're assuming that it's $5,000 because it's quality. Everyone wants it. Scenario number 2, that you go to that same Louis Vuitton store. This is an official Louis Vuitton store, okay? Like I'm talking like with the sign in front, you can damn near see Bernard Arnault. At this Louis Vuitton store, you go up there, and when you look at the bag and you look at the price of the bag, the price of this bag here at the Louis Vuitton store is $50. What are you going to be thinking to yourself if you go to the Louis Vuitton store and you see that at the official Louis Vuitton store, one of the Louis Vuitton bags is priced at $50. No one wants it, so the price must be going down. Someone else said it must be something wrong, must have a defect. Someone said, Brooke said, where are the cameras? Like you're being punked. Isn't that amazing? You went to the official Louis Vuitton store. There's basically a guarantee that everything here is real. Isn't it interesting that simply marking down the price on a Louis Vuitton store will have you questioning if it's even real? You're in the Louis Vuitton store. How they go sell a fake bag in the store? Or have you thinking to yourself that it's a counterfeit, or thinking to yourself that you're being punked? Isn't that interesting? that me lowering the price on a bag that you wanted when it was $5,000 actually made the bag less desirable to you. See, when you set boundaries with men, you're driving the cost of you up. Now, I'm not talking about the cost to be with you in terms of monetary value. I'm talking about the cost to be with you in terms of emotional investment, spiritual investment, right? Mental investment, and consistency, right? That's value. I have to spend a lot of time with you, be consistent with you, take you out, make sure I'm treating you well in order for me to keep getting more and more access to you, okay? You're not a Louis Vuitton bag, but I want you to kind of get this here. If you set boundaries, those boundaries will make it so that in order for me to get access to you, not only must I show up for you in the way that you expect me to show up for you, but I also must be consistent in showing up for you that way. All of that is driving the cost of me being with you up. So you're like this bag, you're the $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag. However, if you have no boundaries or little boundaries, or you let everything slide, what that's gonna actually show men is, hey, you might look like the Louis Vuitton purse that I saw on the rack there, but you're priced at $50. Why are you priced at $50? Because the emotional and spiritual cost of being with you is very little. You will accept anything. You don't tell me no ever. You don't set any boundaries, and even the boundaries you do set, you're very loose on those boundaries. So that shows me that you're a lot like this $50 Louis Vuitton purse. So even when it's sitting in the store, and even when I'm sure it's official and it looks beautiful, I begin to question, do I really even want that purse? Because why is the purse that I was expecting to be $5,000, I was expecting to have to put a lot of emotional investment into in order to get access to, why is this bag now $50? I'm starting to question if it's even as valuable as I once thought it was. Because cost and value are actually kind of tied together in our minds. We assume the cost for something valuable will be high. We also assume the cost for something that is not valuable will be very low. So when we can convince ourselves that something is worth a lot, we want it to correlate by having it cost a lot in order for us to get access to it or to get it. Number 5, there's a future vision of what men want out of a woman and a relationship. He's expecting that your qualities, while he's in the present here with you, that you will act in a way that gives him a lot of easy access to you. Don't be too busy for me. So let's imagine here in a different scenario, right? Still him and still you. As you're thinking about the future, as the men are thinking about the future, they're also going to be thinking about very different characteristics or character traits, right? They're going to be thinking, oh, well, I was wanting you to have easy access to you all the time. But when I think about the wife that I want, if I have easy access to her, then that means everyone else had easy access to her. So if I want a girl that everyone else didn't have easy access to, I actually want it to be hard to access you. Because if you think about what men actually want for their future, they don't necessarily want a woman who said yes to everyone else before them. Ironic, because in the present, he wanted you to say yes to everything. Also, right, when he thinks about the fact that, before in the present, he didn't want you to be too busy, now all of a sudden, he realizes that the girls who are actually having a life of their own aside from men usually have more self-respect, have a better self-worth, self-esteem, right? And they're more confident. So all of a sudden, right, he wants you to have a life because he doesn't want to marry someone who has no life. That's boring. That's uninteresting. You're just like a thorn on his side. You're just like attached at his hip that whenever he wants to do anything, you're like literally like a little mouse that you can't possibly allow him to do anything because you want him so much and you want all of his time and you want all of his attention that he can literally never go out with his friends. He can never do anything else if it's not doing stuff with you. Interesting. And also, remember before, he wanted you to be more fun, right? He wanted you to have fun. Let's have fun. Let's only think about fun. But then when they're thinking about their future, they're thinking to themselves, well, see, if you're always willing to have fun and you only are having fun. You're not only having fun with just me, you're having fun with everyone else since before me. I actually want a woman who will say no to fun. Sometimes, not all the time, but no to fun. Why? Because if you can say no to fun to me, then that means you were able to say no to fun to all the other guys who've been trying you since before I met you. Because none of these men are meeting you at, when you're born, okay? All of these men are meeting you as an adult with experiences already underneath your belt. So the reason that I call it future vision is because what I want you to kind of identify and understand is there's a process to what we could describe as a waiting game. And when men are in the present a lot of the times, right? Let's just say the present is when they're more, let's say, emotionally immature. We can put it like that. When they're more emotionally immature, these are the type of things that they want. They want these things because it serves them the most at that time when they're emotionally immature. When they're looking to just have fun, when they're looking to just spend time with anyone and anything with very little investment, these are the exact qualities that they want in that present or in that emotional immaturity. However, when those men mature in their lives and they finish utilizing all of these types of women, they eventually come to the point where they say, okay, now I'm at a place where I've had enough of this, okay? This was great. I slept with 100 girls, 200 girls, as many girls as I could possibly think of, and I got easy access to all of them. When they start thinking about, all right, what more is there to life and relationships? They start thinking about the qualities that they want in a woman for the future of their life and their relationships. What you have to understand is not all men that you meet will be here, and also even the men that you meet that might be good men, the fact that they might not be here, some of them might just never get here. So you might meet older men who aren't here yet. Okay? You might also meet younger men who aren't here yet. And vice versa, those that are more emotionally mature might be here, and some of them might be here and eventually get here. And some of them might be here and never get here, okay? But here is the most amazing part for you. And actually, this kind of ties into everything that we're talking about. See, men fall in love when you have boundaries, right? But a very particular type of man falls in love with you when you have boundaries, right? And this is kind of where I want to tie this into you so you actually start thinking to yourself how to present yourself to attract what you actually want. See, yes, theoretically, men can fall in love with this type of women here, okay? But the men that fall in love, we could say, fall in love with these type of women are actually not the men that you're looking for. So when I talk about why men fall in love when you have boundaries, what I really mean is why the right type of man falls in love with you when you have boundaries. Because what you're not looking for is a man who is in this emotional, immature state where all he wants is easy access for you to be not too busy and for you to be more fun. Because if that's what he wants to fall in love with you, all you're going to receive from that man is minimal effort, right? No appreciation, no consistency, right? For him to just kind of treat you however he wants to treat you. And so you end up being unhappy because the way you try to present yourself and the way you try to attract men into your life is by being this. So you attracted the type of man who's looking for this. So when we're thinking about why men fall in love with boundaries, you should really be thinking about why do the men that I'm actually looking for fall in love with boundaries? Because the truth of the matter is, and this is where I kind of have to tie it in and be honest with you, the men that you're not looking for will not fall in love with you for having boundaries. They'll actually resent you for having boundaries. But what I don't want is for you to get discouraged thinking that just because you meet some men that don't like you when you're not like this, that means that this doesn't work. It does work, but it works for you in the way that actually is going to work for you and bring you happiness. It doesn't work for you in the way where you're going to attract a whole sea of random men that all want different things. What we're trying to do is we're trying to put you in a position to win and get the man that you're actually looking for. So we don't need to dress you up and make you nice and fancy and attractive to the men you're not looking for. We want to figure out what the men you're actually looking for, what their mentality is, what they look for, what they're attracted to, and we want to put you in that place and shine that light on you. Not shine the light on you that makes you attractive to all of these other guys, okay?